Hello, and a very warm welcome to Wonder Garden. It's lovely to have you with us. There's a particular magic, isn't there, in a garden that offers up colour and interest right through the changing seasons? A garden that feels alive and vibrant month after month. And one of the most enchanting ways to achieve this, I find, is by weaving in shades of purple, a colour that can be both regal and restful, dramatic and gentle. Today we're going to be exploring a wonderful selection of purple perennials. These are the stalwarts of the border, the plants that return year after year, bringing with them not just their beautiful hues, but also a sense of continuity and permanence. We'll be looking at 12 fantastic varieties that, between them, can keep your garden blooming with glorious purples, from the fresh hopes of spring right through to the mellow tones of late autumn, and sometimes even into the first frosts of winter. It's all about choosing the right plants for the right place and understanding their simple needs. So, if you're looking to infuse your outdoor space with captivating colour that lasts, or perhaps you're just curious about the sheer variety of purple wonders available, then you're in the right place. We've got a real treat for you. Grab a cup of tea perhaps, settle in, and let's get our hands metaphorically dirty as we delve into the world of these magnificent purple perennials. Let's get started. Our first purple gem is Catmint, or Nepeta as it's known botanically. Now this is a plant that I have a real soft spot for. It has an unassuming charm, a sort of gentle, hazy quality that softens the edges of any border. It's not a show-off, not in a brash way, but it has a quiet confidence, forming these lovely billowing mounds of grey-green foliage, which in itself is rather attractive. And then, of course, come the flowers, spires of tiny, usually lavender blue to soft purple blossoms that create an almost cloud-like effect. It's the sort of plant that invites you to brush past it, releasing that characteristic minty, slightly lemony aroma. Catmint is wonderfully generous with its flowering period, typically starting in late spring and carrying on, often with great gusto, right through into early autumn. If you're diligent with a bit of deadheading, or even a more robust trim after its first main flush, what we sometimes call the Chelsea chop, you can encourage a second, sometimes even a third wave of blooms. This longevity is what makes it such a valuable player in the garden, providing that continuous splash of cool purple when other plants might be taking a rest. The individual flowers are small, but they are born in such profusion that the overall impact is quite significant, a soft haze of colour. When it comes to growing conditions, Catmint is wonderfully unfussy, which is always a bonus for the busy gardener. It absolutely thrives in full sun. The more sun it gets, the more compact its growth tends to be, and the more intensely coloured its flowers. It's not particularly demanding about soil type either, as long as it's well drained. In fact, it rather dislikes sitting in wet, heavy soil, especially during the winter months. Its Mediterranean heritage means it's remarkably drought-tolerant once established, making it an excellent choice for those sun-baked spots in the garden where other, more delicate plants might struggle. One of the greatest joys of growing Catmint, aside from its visual appeal, is its ability to draw in pollinators. Bees, bumblebees in particular, absolutely adore it. Butterflies, too, are frequent visitors. If you stand by a patch of Catmint on a sunny day, it's often alive with the gentle hum of contented insects. This, for me, is what gardening is all about, creating not just a beautiful space, but a living, breathing ecosystem. Catmint plays a crucial role in supporting this local wildlife, providing a reliable source of nectar over a very long period. For maintaining its vigour and shape, I find a good cutback in early spring, just as new growth is emerging from the base, is beneficial. Or, as I mentioned, that mid-season trim can really rejuvenate the plant. It combines beautifully with so many other perennials, roses, for example, where its soft tones complement the richer colours of the rose blooms, or with silver-leafed plants like Stachys byzantina. It's also brilliant at the front of a border, spilling gently over paths, a truly dependable and delightful plant. Next, we turn to the hardy geraniums, often called cranesbills. Now, it's important to distinguish these from the tender pelargoniums, which many people commonly refer to as geraniums and often use in summer bedding schemes. The hardy geraniums we're discussing today are true herbaceous perennials, reliably returning year after year, and they are absolute stalwarts of the garden. They come in a remarkable array of colours, but the purples, violets and blues are particularly enchanting, ranging from the softest lavenders to the most intense deep magentas. Their versatility is one of their greatest assets. There's a geranium for almost every situation. One of the most compelling reasons to grow hardy geraniums is their incredibly long flowering season. Many varieties will start to bloom in late spring or early summer, and with a little encouragement will continue to produce flowers right through into the autumn. Some, like the famous Roseanne, are renowned for their almost relentless blooming, providing a carpet of colour for months on end. This persistence makes them invaluable for filling gaps in the border and ensuring that there's always something of interest to catch the eye. The flowers themselves are often delicately veined, adding another layer of subtle beauty. Hardy geraniums are also celebrated for their low-maintenance nature. Most are incredibly easy to grow and are not overly fussy about soil conditions, though like most plants, they appreciate good drainage. Many varieties are quite happy in full sun, while others, such as Geranium phaeum, the morning widow, or Geranium nodosum, positively thrive in partial or even quite deep shade, bringing much-needed colour to those trickier spots under trees or along north-facing walls. This adaptability makes them a go-to plant for gardeners looking for reliable performance without constant coddling. Beyond their beautiful flowers, many hardy geraniums offer attractive foliage too. The leaves are often deeply lobed or divided, and some varieties boast interesting markings or colorations. Certain types, like Geranium macrorrhizum, have aromatic foliage, releasing a pleasant scent when brushed against. Many also provide excellent ground cover, their dense growth habit helping to suppress weeds and create a lush green carpet beneath taller plants or shrubs. As autumn approaches, the foliage of some varieties can take on beautiful tints of red and bronze, adding another season of interest. To keep them looking their best and to encourage further blooming, many hardy geraniums benefit from a good shearing back after their first main flush of flowers. This might seem drastic, cutting them right back to the base, but they respond remarkably well, quickly producing a fresh batch of leaves and often a second wave of flowers. They are also easily divided in spring or autumn, allowing you to propagate your favourites and spread their beauty around the garden. They are true workhorses, these geraniums, quietly getting on with the job of making the garden look good. Now for a plant that brings a touch of the exotic to our temperate gardens, the fuchsia. While many fuchsias are tender and grown as summer annuals or conservatory plants, there are a good number of hardy varieties that can survive our winters outdoors and perform as reliable perennials, particularly if given a little protection in colder areas. Their flowers are simply exquisite, aren't they? Those pendulous, lantern-like blooms, often bicolored with shades of purple, magenta, pink and white, are quite unlike anything else in the garden. They have an intricate, delicate beauty that really draws you in for a closer look. Hardy fuchsias are incredibly generous with their flowers, typically blooming from early summer right through until the first hard frosts of autumn, sometimes even into early winter in milder spots. This extended display makes them invaluable for late-season colour when many other perennials are starting to fade. The sheer profusion of blooms on a well-established plant can be quite breathtaking, each slender branch adorned with these dangling jewels. They bring a sense of movement and grace to the garden, swaying gently in the breeze. To get the best from your hardy fuchsias, it's important to understand their preferred growing conditions. Most of them thrive in a position that offers partial shade, perhaps dappled sunlight for part of the day, or morning sun and afternoon shade. They generally don't appreciate being baked in strong, direct sunlight all day long, as this can scorch their leaves and flowers. They also prefer a moist but well-drained soil, rich in organic matter. Regular watering, especially during dry spells, is crucial to keep them healthy and blooming prolifically. They are not drought-tolerant plants. There are various forms of hardy fuchsias available, from more upright, bushy types that can form small shrubs, to more lax, trailing varieties that are excellent for spilling over walls or out of containers. Varieties like Fuchsia magellanica and its cultivars are particularly well known for their hardiness and vigour. When planting, It's a good idea to set the base of the plant a little deeper than usual, perhaps a couple of inches below the soil surface, as this can help protect the crown during harsh winters. A good winter mulch of compost or bark chippings will also provide valuable insulation. In spring, resist the urge to prune too early. It's best to wait until you see new growth emerging from the base or along the stems. At this point, you can cut back any dead or damaged wood and generally tidy up the plant to encourage strong new shoots that will carry that summer's flowers. Hardy fuchsias are also very attractive to hummingbirds if you are lucky enough to have them in your area, and bees too enjoy their nectar-rich flowers. They really are a delightful addition, bringing a unique charm and long-lasting colour. Chapter 4. Let's talk about Verbena next, and specifically I'm thinking of Verbena bonariensis. This is a plant that has gained immense popularity in recent years, and for very good reason. It has a wonderfully airy, almost transparent quality. It grows on tall, slender, wiry stems, reaching up to 4 or 5, sometimes even 6 feet in height, topped with these flattened clusters of tiny, vibrant purple flowers. It's not a dense, bulky plant, rather it creates a sort of see-through screen, allowing you to glimpse other plants behind it. This makes it incredibly useful for adding height and structure to a border without blocking the view. Verbena bonariensis is a fantastic performer when it comes to its blooming season. It typically starts flowering in mid to late summer and will continue with unwavering enthusiasm right through the autumn until the first hard frosts finally call a halt to its display. Those clusters of small amethyst purple flowers are held aloft, dancing in the breeze, and they are an absolute magnet for butterflies. On a sunny autumn day, it's not uncommon to see a verbena patch literally alive with red admirals, peacocks and small tortoiseshells, all feasting on the nectar. It's a real joy to behold. This particular verbena is a true sun lover. It needs a bright, open position to perform at its best. It's reasonably tolerant of different soil types, provided they are well drained. It doesn't like to sit with its feet in wet, claggy soil, especially during the winter. While it is technically a perennial, its hardiness can sometimes be a little borderline in colder regions or particularly harsh winters. However, it has a rather endearing habit of self-seeding, often quite prolifically, so even if you lose the parent plant, you're likely to find new seedlings popping up the following spring to continue the display. Many gardeners, myself included, actually welcome this self-seeding habit. The seedlings are easy to identify and can either be left to grow where they appear, creating a wonderfully naturalistic drift-like effect, or they can be gently transplanted to other parts of the garden where you might want a splash of purple. If you prefer a more controlled look, then removing some of the spent flower heads before they set seed can help to limit its spread. But for a relaxed cottage garden style or a prairie-inspired planting, its self-sowing nature is a real bonus. Verbena bonariensis combines beautifully with so many other plants. It looks particularly effective woven through ornamental grasses, where its stiff, upright stems contrast with the softer forms of the grasses. It's also stunning with late-flowering daisies like asters or rudbeckias, the purple flowers providing a wonderful contrast to yellows and oranges. Whether you use it in drifts in a large border, or as a punctuation mark in a smaller space, or even in a large container, it brings a unique elegance and a vibrant splash of long-lasting purple to the garden. Chapter 5. Lavender. Is there any plant more evocative of summer, of warm sunshine and the gentle hum of bees? It's a classic, a true garden icon, and for very good reason. The sight of those silvery grey aromatic leaves topped with spikes of purple, mauve or blue flowers is instantly recognizable and universally loved. And then, of course, there's that unmistakable fragrance, calming, clean and utterly delightful. It's a plant that engages so many of our senses, making it an essential component of any sensory garden, or indeed any garden that aims for charm and beauty. Lavender typically graces us with its main flush of flowers, from late spring through to midsummer, depending on the variety and your local climate. English lavender, Lavandula angustifolia, is generally the hardiest and one of the first to bloom, with its compact spikes of intensely fragrant deep purple to pale lilac flowers. French lavender, Lavandula stochas, with its distinctive tufted ears or bracts on top of the flower heads, often starts a little earlier but can be less hardy. The key is to choose the right type for your conditions. The visual impact of a drift of lavender in full bloom is quite something, a sea of purple that seems to shimmer in the summer light. To grow lavender successfully, you really need to replicate its native Mediterranean habitat as closely as possible. This means full sun, and I mean as much sun as you can possibly give it. It also demands sharply drained soil. Lavender absolutely detests sitting in wet, heavy ground, especially during the winter months, which can lead to root rot and the demise of the plant. If you have clay soil, it's essential to improve the drainage by incorporating plenty of grit and organic matter, or consider growing it in raised beds or containers where you have more control over the compost. Beyond its sheer beauty and fragrance, lavender is a phenomenal plant for attracting pollinators. Bees, as we've said, adore it. Honeybees, bumblebees, solitary bees, they all flock to its nectar-rich flowers. Butterflies are also frequent visitors, and the benefits don't stop in the garden. Those fragrant flower spikes can be cut and dried for use in potpourri, lavender bags, or even for culinary purposes. A touch of lavender in shortbread or lemonade can be quite delicious. Though use it sparingly, it's a plant that keeps on giving. Pruning is key to keeping your lavender plants compact, bushy, and long-lived. The best time to prune is immediately after flowering, typically in late summer. You want to cut back the flowered stems, taking off about an inch or so of the current year's leafy growth, but be careful not to cut right back into old bare wood, as lavender doesn't readily regenerate from this. This regular trim helps to prevent the plants from becoming leggy and woody, and encourages a good display of flowers the following year. A well-tended lavender hedge or edging can be a truly beautiful and fragrant feature in any garden. Chapter 6. Let's now turn our attention to the delightful campanulas, commonly known as bellflowers. This is a wonderfully diverse genus, offering a vast array of shapes, sizes, and shades of blue and purple, as well as white and pink. From tiny alpine varieties that creep through rockeries to tall, stately border perennials, there's a campanula to suit almost any garden style or situation. What unites them, of course, are those charming, bell-shaped or star-shaped flowers that nod gracefully on their stems, bringing a touch of cottage garden romance wherever they grow. The purples can range from the palest, most delicate lilac to rich, deep violets. The main flowering period for most perennial campanulas is from late spring through to mid or late summer, with some varieties continuing to produce blooms into early autumn if they are regularly dead-headed. This extended display of cheerful bells makes them incredibly valuable for bridging the gap between the early summer flush and the later autumn performers. Plants like Campanula persicifolia, the peach-leaved bellflower, send up tall, elegant spires of cup-shaped flowers, while Campanula lactiflora can form substantial clumps topped with large clusters of milky blue or pale purple bells. Then there are the lower-growing types like Campanula carpatica, the Carpathian bellflower, which forms neat mounds perfect for the front of a border or edging paths. In terms of growing conditions, most campanulas are fairly accommodating. The majority prefer a spot in full sun, but many, particularly some of the woodland edge species, will tolerate and even appreciate a degree of partial shade, especially in hotter climates. They generally like a well-drained soil that retains some moisture. They don't want to be waterlogged, nor do they enjoy being parched for long periods. Adding some good garden compost to the planting hole will help them get off to a good start. They are, for the most part, hardy and reliable perennials. There's such a wonderful variety within the Campanula family. For instance, Campanula glomerata, the clustered bellflower, has dense heads of deep purple, upward-facing bells on sturdy stems and is a very striking plant. Campanula poscarskiana is a vigorous, spreading variety with star-shaped lavender blue flowers, excellent for ground cover or tumbling over walls, though it can be a bit enthusiastic in its spread, so site it thoughtfully. Exploring the different species and cultivars can be a real joy, discovering the subtle variations in flower shape, color intensity, and growth habit. To keep your campanulas looking their best, and to prolong their flowering, regular deadheading is highly recommended. Snipping off the spent flower stems will encourage the plant to produce more blooms and prevent it from putting its energy into seed production. Some of the taller varieties may benefit from staking, especially in more exposed positions. Many campanulas are also excellent cut flowers, bringing that cottage garden charm indoors. They are simply delightful plants, full of grace and old-fashioned appeal, and a must-have for anyone wanting to add a touch of purple magic to their borders. Now for a plant that adds a real exclamation mark to the late summer and early autumn garden, Liatris spicata, commonly known as blazing star or gay feather. This is a rather unusual perennial in that its fluffy, bottle brush-like flower spikes open from the top downwards, which is quite contrary to most other spire-forming plants that bloom from the bottom up. This unique characteristic gives it a distinctive look and a long period of interest. The flowers are typically a vibrant rosy purple or magenta, though white and paler pink forms are also available, and they create a wonderful vertical accent in the border. Liatris spicata comes into its own from midsummer through to early autumn, providing a much-needed burst of colour and structure as other plants might be starting to wane. The flower spikes can reach impressive heights, often 2 to 3 feet, sometimes even taller in ideal conditions, rising above grassy, strap-like foliage. These strong, upright stems mean that they rarely require staking, which is always a practical advantage. They look particularly effective planted in bold drifts or repeated groups, where their vertical lines can create a real sense of rhythm and drama in a planting scheme. Native to the prairies and grasslands of North America, Liatris is perfectly adapted to full sun and well-drained soil. It's remarkably drought-tolerant once established and can cope with relatively poor infertile soils. Though like most plants, it will appreciate some compost dug in at planting time. It's important not to overwater Liatris or plant it in heavy, waterlogged conditions, as the corm-like roots can be prone to rot if they sit in too much moisture, especially during winter dormancy. It's a tough, resilient plant when given the right conditions. One of the greatest attributes of Liatris is its incredible attractiveness to pollinators. Butterflies, in particular, seem to find it irresistible. Monarch butterflies, if they are in your area, are especially fond of it, but you'll see a whole host of other butterfly species, as well as bees and other beneficial insects, flocking to its nectar-rich blooms. Watching these creatures feasting on the fuzzy purple spires is a true delight and adds an extra layer of life and movement to the garden. The flowers are also excellent for cutting, lasting well in a vase and adding that unique texture to arrangements. Liatris is typically grown from corms, which are best planted in the spring. Plant them about 2 to 4 inches deep and about 6 to 12 inches apart, depending on the desired effect. They combine wonderfully with other prairie-style plants, such as echinaceas, coneflowers, rudbeckias, black-eyed Susans, and various ornamental grasses which echo their native habitat. The contrast between the upright, fuzzy spikes of Liatris and the daisy-like flowers or soft plumes of grasses can be incredibly effective, creating a dynamic and naturalistic feel in the garden. For those shadier corners of the garden where finding vibrant, long-lasting colour can sometimes be a challenge, let me introduce you to Terrania, often called the wishbone flower. While it's frequently grown as an annual in many regions, especially cooler climates, it performs with such gusto and for such an extended period, often from late spring right through to the first frosts, that it certainly earns its place in a discussion about all-season colour. In milder climates, some species can behave as short-lived perennials. The flowers are delightful, trumpet-shaped or snapdragon-like, and come in beautiful shades of purple, blue, pink, yellow, and white, often with contrasting darker blotches or throats. The common name, wishbone flower, comes from the 2 stamens inside the flower which are curved and joined at the anthers, resembling a tiny wishbone. It's a charming little detail if you peer closely. Terrania fournieri is perhaps the most well-known species, producing a profusion of these jewel-like blooms on low-growing bushy plants. They are absolutely perfect for adding a splash of color to the front of shady borders, for edging pathways in wooded areas, or for spilling out of containers and hanging baskets placed in spots that don't receive direct, harsh sunlight. Terenia truly thrives in conditions of partial to full shade. While a little morning sun is usually tolerated, it definitely prefers to be protected from the strong afternoon sun, which can scorch its delicate leaves and flowers. Consistent moisture is also key to its success. It doesn't like to dry out completely. A rich, well-drained soil, amended with plenty of organic matter, will help to retain moisture and provide the nutrients it needs to keep blooming prolifically. Regular feeding with a balanced liquid fertilizer, especially for container-grown plants, can also help to sustain its impressive floral display throughout the season. The range of colors available in Terenia is quite remarkable, with many modern hybrids offering vibrant purples, deep indigos, and lovely lavender shades, often with attractive bicolor patterns. Some varieties have a slightly trailing habit, making them ideal for softening the edges of pots or baskets, while others are more upright and mounding. They tend to be self-cleaning, meaning the spent flowers drop off neatly, so deadheading isn't usually a major chore, though removing any seed pods that form can help to encourage continuous blooming. While its perennial nature might be dependent on your climate, its sheer flower power over such a long season makes Terenia an invaluable plant for bringing brightness to those less sunny parts of the garden. It pairs beautifully with other shade lovers like hostas, ferns and impatiens, though do be mindful of impatiens' downy mildew issues in some areas. If you're looking for a plant that will reliably pump out purple flowers in the shade from spring until autumn, Terenia is certainly one to consider, even if you treat it as a long-flowering annual addition. No discussion of long-blooming purple perennials would be complete without paying homage to the magnificent genus Salvia. This is an enormous family of plants, encompassing annuals, biennials, perennials, and shrubs. But it's the hardy perennial salvias that we're particularly interested in today for their enduring garden value. Many of them offer an incredible display of spiky upright flowers in various shades of purple, from intense violet blues to rich deep purples and softer lavenders, often held above aromatic foliage. They bring a wonderful vertical element and a sense of vibrancy to any sunny border. Many perennial salvias, such as Salvia nemorosa and its numerous cultivars like Caradonna, with its striking dark purple stems, or Mainite, Mainacht, are renowned for their exceptionally long flowering season. They typically start blooming in late spring or early summer, and with a bit of judicious pruning, can provide wave after wave of color right through into the autumn. This ability to rebloom so reliably makes them absolute workhorses in the garden, ensuring that there's always a splash of purple to enjoy. The individual flowers are usually small and lipped, typical of the mint family to which they belong, but they are borne in dense racemes that create a very showy effect. Most perennial salvias are sun worshippers, demanding a position in full sun to perform at their best. They also prefer well-drained soil. Like lavender, they really dislike having their roots sitting in cold, wet conditions, especially over winter. Many are remarkably drought-tolerant once established, making them excellent choices for hotter, drier spots in the garden, or for gardeners looking for low water use plants. The foliage of many salvias is pleasantly aromatic when bruised, releasing a sage-like scent, which can be an added bonus as you brush past them in the border. Salvias are also fantastic plants for wildlife. Their nectar-rich flowers are irresistible to bees, butterflies, and often hummingbirds, making them a key component of any pollinator-friendly garden. Watching these creatures darting amongst the salvia spikes on a summer's day is a constant source of delight. The sheer variety available is astounding, from the compact, front-of-border types to taller, more imposing specimens that can hold their own in the middle or back of a mixed planting. Consider Salvia amistad for its incredibly deep purple flowers and near-continuous bloom, though its hardiness can vary. To encourage that all-important reblooming, it's crucial to deadhead your salvias regularly, or even better, to give them a more substantial cutback after their first main flush of flowers has faded. Cutting the spent flower spikes right back to the base of the plant or to a fresh set of leaves will often stimulate the production of a whole new crop of blooms within a few weeks. This chop not only prolongs the floral display, but also helps to keep the plants looking tidy and vigorous. They are truly indispensable for long-lasting purple in a sunny garden. Next on our list is the utterly charming Scabiosa, commonly known as the pincushion flower, and it's easy to see why it gets that name. The flower heads are like little domed cushions, often with prominent stamens that stick out like pins. They have a delicate, almost lacy appearance, and they seem to dance on their slender, wiry stems, bringing a lovely sense of movement and lightness to the border. While they come in various colors, including blues, pinks, and creamy whites, the purple and lavender varieties are particularly lovely, adding a soft, romantic touch. Scabiosas are wonderfully generous bloomers, often starting their display in late spring or early summer and continuing, with regular deadheading, right through into the autumn months. This long season of interest makes them invaluable for providing continuous color. Varieties like Scabiosa columbaria, particularly the butterfly blue cultivar, though often more lavender blue than true purple, and its pink counterpart, pink mist, are well known for their prolific flowering. There are also taller species like Scabiosa caucasica, which produce larger pincushion flowers on longer stems, excellent for cutting. These delightful perennials thrive in a position that receives full sun. They also have a preference for well-drained soil, and many types, particularly Scabiosa caucasica, appreciate a slightly alkaline or chalky soil. If your soil is acidic, adding a bit of garden lime can be beneficial. They don't like to be waterlogged, so good drainage is key to their long-term success. Despite their delicate appearance, they are generally quite hardy and resilient plants when given these preferred conditions. As the name butterfly blue might suggest, Scabiosas are absolute magnets for butterflies. The flat-topped flower heads provide a perfect landing pad for these beautiful insects, and they will flock to feast on the nectar. Bees also enjoy them. This makes Scabiosas a wonderful addition to any wildlife garden or cottage garden planting scheme, where their informal charm fits in perfectly. They are also superb cut flowers, lasting well in a vase and bringing that airy, delicate beauty indoors. To keep the flowers coming, diligent deadheading is essential. By snipping off the spent blooms right down to a leaf joint or a side shoot, you encourage the plant to produce more flowers rather than putting its energy into developing seeds. Taller varieties may occasionally need some discreet support, especially in windier spots, but generally their wiry stems are surprisingly strong. They combine beautifully with other sun lovers like ornamental grasses, lavender, and echinaceas, creating a soft meadow-like feel. A truly delightful plant for long-lasting delicate purple blooms. We now arrive at another North American prairie native that has become a firm favorite in gardens around the world, Echinacea purpurea, the purple coneflower. This is a plant that exudes a bold, cheerful presence. Its large, daisy-like flowers, with their distinctively reflex, drooping purple-pink petals surrounding a prominent spiky central cone, are instantly recognizable. While purpurea suggests purple, the color is often more of a rosy mauve or magenta, but it's a wonderfully rich and warm hue that stands out beautifully in the summer and autumn garden. Echinaceas typically begin their flowering season in midsummer and will continue to produce blooms right through into the autumn, often until the first frosts. The individual flowers are long-lasting, both on the plant and as cut flowers. As the season progresses, that central cone becomes even more prominent and turns a rich, coppery brown, providing continued interest even after the petals have faded. This makes them a valuable plant for extending the season of interest in your borders. Being prairie natives, echinaceas thrive in full sun and well-drained soil. They are remarkably drought-tolerant once established and can cope with hot, dry conditions. They do not appreciate heavy, wet soils, particularly during the winter, which can lead to crown rot. Good air circulation around the plants is also beneficial. While they are generally robust and easy to grow, ensuring these basic conditions are met will lead to healthier, more floriferous plants. They are strong, upright growers and rarely require staking. Purple coneflowers are renowned for their ability to attract pollinators. Bees, butterflies, and other beneficial insects are drawn to their large, nectar-rich blooms like a magnet. Watching a goldfinch perched acrobatically on a seed head in late autumn or winter, feasting on the seeds, is another of the great joys of growing echinacea. If you can bear to leave the spent flower heads on the plants over winter, they provide not only this valuable food source for birds, but also add wonderful structural interest to the frosted garden. While Echinacea purpurea itself is a fantastic garden plant, there has been a huge amount of breeding work done in recent years, resulting in a dazzling array of new cultivars in various colors, shapes, and sizes. However, some of these newer, more exotic hybrids can sometimes be less vigorous or long-lived than the original species. For reliable, long-term performance and that classic purple coneflower look, the species itself or well-established cultivars like Magnus are excellent choices. They bring a robust, natural charm and a long season of vibrant color to the garden. Our final purple perennial for today is agastache, commonly known as anise hyssop or giant hyssop. This is another fantastic plant for adding height, structure, and a long season of color, particularly from midsummer into early autumn. It produces dense, upright spikes of tiny, tubular flowers, typically in shades of purple, blue, pink, or even orange, and the foliage of many species is wonderfully aromatic, often smelling of aniseed or licorice when crushed, which gives it its common name. This fragrance adds another delightful sensory dimension to the garden. Agastache species like Agastache funiculum, the true anise hyssop, or cultivars such as Blue Fortune, which is more of a lavender blue to purple, are particularly valued for their profuse and long-lasting flower spikes. These blooms are held well above the foliage, creating a vibrant vertical accent that can really lift a planting scheme. The plants themselves are generally upright and bushy, forming good-sized clumps over time. They bring a slightly wild, informal charm to borders and are excellent for attracting a wide range of pollinators. Like many of the plants we've discussed today, agastache thrives in full sun and demands well-drained soil. It really does not tolerate wet, heavy conditions, especially in winter, which can be fatal. It's native to prairies and dry open areas, so it's naturally adapted to cope with drier soils once established, and is a good choice for a sunny, free, draining spot. Some species can be a little short-lived, especially in richer soils or wetter climates, but many will self-seed moderately, ensuring their continued presence in the garden if conditions are to their liking. The pollinator appeal of agastache is truly exceptional. It's often described as a bee magnet, and it's not an exaggeration. On a warm summer's day, the flower spikes will be literally buzzing with honeybees, bumblebees, and various solitary bees. Butterflies, too, are frequent visitors drawn to the abundant nectar. If you're looking to create a garden that supports wildlife, agastache is an absolute must-have. The fine seeds are also sometimes eaten by small birds later in the season. There's a good range of agastache species and cultivars available, offering different heights, flower colors, and even foliage scents. Some, like Agastache Black Adder, have very dark, almost black calices, which contrast beautifully with the purple flowers, adding extra depth and interest. They combine wonderfully with other sun-loving perennials, such as ornamental grasses, echinaceas, salvias, and sedums, creating a vibrant, late-season display. For a plant that offers beautiful purple flower spikes, attractive aromatic foliage, and an unparalleled ability to draw in beneficial insects, anise hyssop is hard to beat. Well, there we have it, 12 truly wonderful purple perennials, each with its own unique charm and character, ready to bring months, even seasons of glorious colour to your garden. From the soft hazes of Catmint to the bold spires of Liatris and the delicate dance of Scabiosa, I hope you found some inspiration to weave these enduring beauties into your own outdoor spaces. There's a real satisfaction, isn't there, in planting something that will return year after year, growing stronger and more beautiful with time, asking for little more than the right spot and a bit of understanding. These plants are more than just pretty faces. They are vital contributors to the life of your garden, supporting pollinators and adding to the rich tapestry of your local ecosystem. Choosing perennials is an investment in the future of your garden, creating a sustainable and ever-evolving display. So I do encourage you to experiment, to find the purples that speak to you, and to enjoy the process of watching them flourish. Thanks so much for joining us today at Wonder Garden. We hope you've enjoyed this journey through the world of purple perennials. If you did, please do give this video a thumbs up and perhaps leave a comment below. We'd love to hear which of these plants are your favorites, or if you have any other purple perennial recommendations. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Wonder Garden for more gardening tips, plant guides and inspiration. Until next time, happy gardening!